Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube?
What's up, YouTube?
This is SCL0320, Sam.
What's up? This is your boy, Joe Johnson.
030. So, we are back again for a brand new review for The Flash. I know we did an early review ahead of time before for The Flash pilot, which is amazing. But this by far probably was the best episode of the series, in my opinion. Do you want to kind of pop it off, Joe? What your thoughts was kind of going into it? What are your expectations?
Can I spoil anything?
We can talk.
No, we're not gonna do that. No, I'm not gonna even do that.
Okay.
So I want to give you guys, you know, the expectation level.
This is what we do. You talk about the Flash side, I'll talk about the Arrow side.
Okay. So the Flash side of the story, you know, you definitely, you know, the Barry Allen that you know currently throughout the series, you know, the heroic but yet, you know, reserved type of guy. Yeah, let's just say in this episode you get to see a different side of him, you know.
Yeah. And
definitely with the villains that are introduced, you know, kind of guys that's lurking in the shadows. Definitely these guys are really serious. That I never seen a threat this big hit the Arrow. The Flash show. You know, I've never seen. They haven't introduced a character, a villain that could really be detrimental to this level, and they definitely did that with this episode. You get to see Flash, Barry Allen, you know, and how he actually is. You get to see some of his emotions in this, and some of these, you know, emotions that are kind of hidden and kind of destructive. Let's just say that.
Yeah, kind of from the beginning of the whole series, like some of the different circumstances kind of happen.
Yeah. So you guys can tell I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's like he is a serious Flash fan, and whether y'all know it or not, I haven't done any reviews for Arrow, but I'm a huge Arrow fan. Believe it or not, I got Stephen Amell to autograph this issue of 2.5, season 1, episode, well not episode, but issue number 1. But this brings Oliver Queen straight off the gates from what's transpired in the Arrow series, which we know that Sarah died, or the first Canary died. We also have the fact that Felicity now is starting to date what's going to be the Atom eventually, and it's just Oliver has been put to a situation where he's had to depend on not only well, I think that Arsenal and Diggle are his closest camaraderie fans, and it's all the times that he's around them, most of the time he's trying to keep himself sheltered and stuff like that, but he knows without a shadow of doubt they've been there for him. And so when we go full circle with this whole situation, the episode opens up with Flash encountering an enemy that he's never encountered before. The name of the enemy is the Prism, but I'm going to read the synopsis for it. When a metahuman Chroma threatens to take down Stalling City, Arrow requires the help more than a standard crew, and therefore the Flash comes to the help. I'm not sure what that one is. I think that's for tomorrow's episode. But anyway, I think but tonight's episode, really, if you want to give me a brief synopsis of it, I would say that you start off with Barry Allen trying to figure out how he can, I guess, emote to what's the girl's name?
Iris.
Because he's feeling. He said he feels smitten. He feels like he's feeling it, you know. And every person he's going around at the beginning of the episode, he's trying to make a better situation for him. And it's just so interesting to see the light come out of Barry. Like the fact of him being a light, it's a light for good. And everybody that he came encounter at the beginning of the episode, he had cheered up their day. And so he encountered like Iris, and she started noticing that Iris and her boyfriend, the detective, are starting to have like going at odds because of Barry ultimately. And then he faced with the villain that he faced with before. And the thing that's so interesting about this villain is that every person that he looks at, they go into a rage kind of mode where they just want to attack everything. And he's never faced anything like this before, because this fights him on an intellectual and a psychological level. And so what happens is that Arrow intervenes and he comes to help Barry, but their interaction is the whole thing about this whole episode, because it's like a fish out of water. You got a person that can do almost anything with light speed, and then you got a person that's precision, that can literally sharpshoot anyone, has the technical skills, has the physical skills, and at the same time, like, he knows the streets. He's been a hero longer than Barry has, so like he's got the fortitude to be able to take care of himself. So the question with this episode is, how is the title gonna implement into the story? There is fight sequences between the Arrow and the Flash. How it gets to that point, we can't spoil it for you, but all we can say is when it gets down to it, when they actually really do fight, they go all out. And the difference in this fight is that all the inhibitions that Joe was talking about and the way that Barry is, all those inhibitions go out the door. The only thing I can kind of equate to it is, if y'all looked at Smallville, if y'all looked at Superman, when Superman gets on red kryptonite, that is what happens to Barry Allen in this one. And it's really interesting to see. It's really scary to see, actually. But the fact that you have Felicity, Diggle, and Arrow there, it's like they're at home. Like, in my opinion, like they didn't miss a step. Like, even though Joe hasn't seen all of Arrow, like he kind of like, oh well, I know all this going on. Yeah. But I think this episode is the funniest episode I've seen, though.
The funniest?
Yeah, because like when Diggle shows up, when Diggle sees Flash for the first time, like in his Flash costume, he's like, oh yeah. Huh? Did you see that? You're not freaked out? There's like so many different one-liners from Cisco to Diggle to Felicity. Like, there was a point where Felicity got taken by Flash. She was going so fast, her clothes started burning. And Cisco was like, oh, I'll never forget this. It was one of the funniest and coolest episodes that they've done. What did you think, though? What was the key moment for you, or what did you take away from this episode that differs from the rest of them? I guess.
With this episode, I really enjoyed like watching the Flash and knowing the Flash with the Arrow's relationship. You know, it's a very dynamic, heroic relationship where you have Flash kind of looking up to Arrow, and then like, you know, even when it's kind of going against the grain of what other people think about him, also you can see, though Arrow is definitely more experienced and is considered the more precise, the more knowledgeable of the two, it's like Flash makes up for that in just pure abilities, you know? And it's really like, you definitely see, like, though Flash looks up to Arrow, it's like Arrow definitely respects Flash. Like, he might not show it, but you can definitely see, alright, like, this guy is legit. And I think that whole dynamic, man, is like really what intrigued me the entire way. And not only that, but you, towards the end of the episode, you'll see this. They have more in common, you know, than how they think they do. They have more in common than what they actually think.
Yeah, the respect that Joe's referring to, it goes so deep, because Oliver has been tortured, he's been ridiculed, he's gone through a lot, you know, and whether they knew it or not about themselves, they both have gone through that. Like, Barry went through a lot in his childhood, going his upbringing, like, even him being a hero now, even though he fits, he knows he's got it, he's just not there. And there's so many different people around him that are telling him what he needs to do, who he needs to be, and they're trying to tell him that Arrow's not a good role model to have, but I think that's the thing that defined him. Because the first episode, he went to Starling City to go see Arrow. And he's like, look, you can be a force for good. Barry didn't, I mean, Arrow didn't know the depths of Barry's powers. He just told him who and what he is based on his knowledge of him before. And that's the thing that's so deep that he was telling Diggle at one point in the show, he's like, how can you help this kid? He's like, he's the same kid, and he's the same good person, and that's the reason why I'm staying. And there was another scene that, there was a boomerang. There was a boomerang that kind of they had found, which is going to be a segue into tomorrow's episode, which you're going to do a review on that. for Arrow, hopefully. But when they try to analyze the boomerang and somebody throws the boomerang, it almost destroys the entire lab. It's one of the funniest things that caught my eye, and I was bursting out laughing. When you'll see it, if you go on Hulu Plus, you'll see it for yourself. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, the fight sequence. I want to describe it for y'all. Well, I guess we can describe it. The fight sequence is played out like you would look at, let's say, The Dark Knight Returns, Batman, Superman. Like, you got intellect versus raw speed, raw power. Like, when Barry's going at it, he's not holding back at all. It's like you can imagine somebody that can go 700 miles an hour in like a second that is punching you with speeds. Like, how they did that visually is just done so well. But I don't know what's better, the fact that how they countered it with what everything the Arrow did. Like, he was so smart and so precise. He was outthinking him, but at the same time, he was using his bare skill. Because I was looking at how fast Barry was going, and I was like, Oliver is going just as fast. Like, he's going faster than a normal human would go. From the fact that when I was sitting there looking at him dodging, he actually hit him. I was like, this is Batman status right here. And I mean, that's the thing about this show. It shows like elements of like Batman and Superman's relationship. Batman and Superman, even though Superman can do anything, Batman is the intellectual side, and Batman respects Superman to such a deeper level. But at the same time, Superman, like, he shows so much care for Batman, and he'll do anything for him. And he kind of, in a sense, I guess they tag team together because of it. And I guess that's why Flash and Arrow mesh together so well. And I mean, even like looking at how Oliver is made as a character, it's kind of emulated from Bruce and Batman. And it's the same thing for Flash, it's minus like the super strength. And so it's really interesting to see how they're going to segue into next episode. But there is so many spoilers. Like, there's a new villain. Well, not a new villain. He's more of a hero. But he's going to be introduced towards the end of this episode. Relationships are going to be stirred in this episode.
Definitely.
They're brought to its breaking point. But it all is, I guess, it was a boiling point. Like, it was bound to happen, but just not in this way. But yeah, it was a really good episode. I think it's probably my favorite episode this season. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. What about you?
I give it an 8. Give it an 8.
Because I'm trying to think of an episode that I thought was better than this. The pilot might be the only one that I say. Only reason why I don't give it a 10 is just because there was, at the end of the episode, there was this, I don't know if CW intentionally did this or not, but when they're fighting, once the Arrow and the Flash end their fight, like, they still have to deal with the villain, and they never show what happens. It just goes straight to what happened at the resolve of that. And I'm thinking that the CW either one cut that because of time or commercials, or they just left it out, and I thought that that was kind of weak sauce, you know what I'm saying? But as far as the anticipation and the build-up and thinking what's going to happen, like, for this, I really enjoyed it. And as a Flash fan, and more so an Arrow fan, oh, there's another thing. So, if any of y'all know the Arrow series, I'll say this. Remember when Moira was talking with a girl that Oliver had gotten pregnant? And this is a flashback sequence if y'all don't know. This is going to play the role later on into a hero that is in the making. And that's all I can say. Joe doesn't know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but it's really pivotal that you remember that, because it'll play a role into this episode as well, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed our review. Please leave comments below. We're going to try to review the one tomorrow, which I think is going to feature Captain Boomerang, the guy that they found the steel boomerang from. Why Flash is going to go all the way over there, I have no idea. So, it should be interesting to see. So, part 2 comes tomorrow. This is part 1. Later, everybody. Bang! You gonna run away, Flash?
Nah.
Flash is fucking out, y'all. I'm gonna show y'all the video of the Flash later on.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh,